All right, today we're here to talk about the delete button right here. This is something that I developed, actually intensely worked on it recently, but it's something that I worked on for a long time, and it's something that is like really one of the largest gifts inside of the program here. Have you ever had an image, especially if you're dealing with porn addiction, an image that comes to mind just all by itself, whether in a dream, you're having these weird dreams, or you're having memories of things that you've seen, or fantasies that just sort of show up out of nowhere and they kind of take control of your life? Or if you're somebody who's been through some traumatic events or had other things happening to you, they kind of come up out of nowhere and they sort of take over, and you get emotional about it, and you find yourself starting to react to it and respond to it, and then you're resisting it, and all kinds of stuff starts to show up. These random images come up and take over your life. Well, recently, I developed what I call the delete button. Now, a long time ago, years ago, I had been worried about these kinds of images, and I went through a process to help me absolutely eliminate all of the emotional baggage tied to them. But the images themselves sometimes would still show up. Most of them disintegrated when I figured out the emotional piece, but sometimes visually my mind is still there. Now here I am next to a computer. This computer has a keyboard. This keyboard has two delete buttons, one there and one there. One works backwards, the other one forward. And so if I come up here on this thing and I type some fancy schmancy stuff here and there, right? If I come over and I hit the delete button, well, it gets rid of it. That means it's no longer being logged in the memory of the machine, except for some like undo button that allows me to kind of go back and undo it. And but other than that, it'll disappear when I close the document, and it's good. This is awesome. This is a wonderful thing that it's not being logged into memory. Now, that means I could pull up a document that I had before and go in and say, you know what, I don't want this way anymore. I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to go and edit it. Now, Google has this fantastic feature where it like tracks all of the changes that were in it. That's okay. If we edit it so that its final state is in a place that we want it, we're good. Delete buttons are great. Power users understand little keyboard shortcuts that allow you to do this. And with one keystroke, you delete the whole thing instead of having to do all of that over again. Now, this is not a technology lesson, just so you know. This is literally about what's going on in your brain. You and I are not like computers, and you and I both know that you've grown up with this idea in your head that whatever you've seen, whatever you've experienced, it's permanent. It's in there, and there's no way to be free of it ever. I'm here to tell you that's wrong. This process is simple. Like literally when you get good at it, it takes less than a minute to do. And you can do it anywhere, anytime, because it's not like some weird exercise where you have to jump and scream and all kinds of stuff. This is literally a very simple internal process to take all of those images that come up and start to grab a hold of you and sever their tie and alter them in your mind in a way that they never return to haunt you again. And if they ever do, they return only to disintegrate. It's a powerful process that we developed over time, and I've been sharing it with all of these guys, and every single one of them has had tremendous experiences with it. One guy, he did this process, and like 5 minutes later I asked him about it. I'm like, so just try and remember the image again, because I like being a skeptic sometimes. I like to make sure it works. I don't want this to be like some hoo-hoo, like, well, as long as you believe it'll work. And so he's like, okay. So he did the exercise full out. 5 minutes later, I asked him to remember it. He's like, I honestly, I'm having a hard time remembering even what the image was. Like what it was about, I can't really remember it. That was a tremendous result. Other people, they've been through the process and they can still remember the image, but like it comes back kind of distorted in some ways, and then they go through it again, and boom, that time the image disappears. So it's a powerful process. For some powerful images, you may need to do it a couple of times, but for most of them, one time through, if you do it really well, that's it. This is one experience that you get guided through in the process of finally becoming free from pornography. It's an experience that then becomes a tool, something that you can replicate every time you need it. So that way you can wake up in the morning having had a disturbing dream, and you can actually alter it. You can actually rid your life of the control that dream has over your emotions, how much shame or guilt you feel about it, or anything like that. You have a pornographic image come to mind, instead of feeling guilty about it, instead of like worried what other people are going to think about you, you now have the capacity to control your mind and take control of that image and completely obliterate it so that it no longer comes back to control you. Now, is it still in memory? In computer, you know that you can take things, you can delete them multiple times and overwrite them all kinds of different ways, and you can go back and they can still kind of recover stuff from deleted computers. If you really want to, yes, you can go back and recall all of those images if you want. You can actually reassert their control over you if you want. That's a choice you get to make. But ultimately what this does is give you the choice so that you have the power to exercise agency in your own life. You have the power to make a choice about whether or not you want to be controlled by images that come to mind, or whether or not you want to exercise your own power of choice and choose a life that is happier, a life that you have control over, a life where your own happiness isn't dependent upon what your mind is thinking or what other people are doing for you. So on top of emotionally ninjutsu, this key experience that then becomes a tool is something that you get to carry with you your whole life. And the best part, you can take your kids through it. This isn't just for you that we're doing this. This is like you get to empower your family. You get to empower your friends. You get to empower people because these are simple tools. It's not some complicated process. Every single one of these becomes a training for you to be able to be in a place where people who need help with the stuff that you and I have been dealing with, whether it's porn or sex addiction like I had to deal with, or whether it's drug addiction or food addictions or anything else like that, you get the chance to now impact somebody else's life and your own and give both of you the power to choose happiness. So that's what's in this. If you want this, if you want to be guided through this experience and taught how to do it for yourself at a powerful level, you got to be on that list on December 26th. Because that's where I'm going to send a link out to a page where you can sign up. And the first 10 guys, that's it. The first 10 guys get in. And after that, no more. So on that day, you want to be there in order to be able to take advantage of emotional ninjutsu, the delete button, as well as some of the other processes that I'll be telling you about in the next couple of days. This isn't some weird information glut. This is to take you through a series of experiences that leave you transformed on the other end, capable with the power to actually live a life of happiness.